Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. I have a really interesting story written by a guy. I don't have his name, but I'll get it here in a second. But a great writer, great story, and it has to do with quotas in the LA school district. And here's what he says, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because it's a long read. But he says people essentially ask him how he's a Jewish kid, ended up at an all-black school, Alexander Hamilton High. They called it Hammy, and it was supposed to draw evenly from LA's white Jewish West Side and the area east of Robertson Boulevard, the proverbial tracks, which at the time in the early 80s was predominantly black. Now, the idea is that you get 50% kids from the bad side and 50% kids from the, quote, good side. The problem was there were two whiter public schools that were nearby, Beverly Hills and a University High in Brentwood. And if the West Side, the Jewish parents, could finesse their address, they'd use daddy's office building or granny's house or whatever. They'd qualify to send their kids to Beverly Hills High or University High and avoid Hammy. And they wouldn't have to pay for private school, because that's what would happen. If the kid got sentenced to Hammy, it was effectively prison. So they said, no, we'll send you to private school. So Hammy ended up having heavily imbalanced racial quotas, 85% black. Now, he said it didn't matter to him. Grew up with kids and their parents, and Hammy was, quote, the black hole to be avoided at all cost. But in 1984, LA decided to crack down on the address falsifiers. So dozens of kids, all white, mostly Jewish, found themselves forcibly resettled to the east, is the way he put it. Is really funny. And he says he found that these kids that hadn't seen elementary school were looking bewildered and scared when they found themselves adrift in a sea of blackness. And he said it didn't take long for the natural order to arise. The small minority of newly arrived deportees took over the school government, the theater program, and the school paper. The parents of the resettled poured money into the school's emaciated coffers. The food in the cafeteria improved. Extra security guards were hired. The auditorium got a decent sound system. The West Side parents were obsessively concerned, he said, about the kids in the school. And so they catered to it. They wanted the education to be better. He says he couldn't say that about the black parents. Fundraisers were held, though. Corporate donations were solicited, and the resulting improvements benefited everybody, including the black students. And a year later, Hammy became LA's designated musical theater magnet school to ensure that in the future, white kids would arrive voluntarily. He said back then, the white kids were wanted. It was understood that they brought good things with them, and nobody was afraid to admit it. But he says a lot changed in 3 decades. Now the Unified School District, LAUSD, is being crushed under the weight of a beast called FUBO. It's PHBAW, and it stands for Predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or Other. And the point of the program is to prevent the LA Unified School District from having a population of white kids greater than 30% of the entire student body. And for the sake of what he's talking about, they measure Jewish kids as white. And so if a LAUSD school had even one student over the 30% limit, teachers were pulled and sent to a predominantly Hispanic, Black, Asian, or other school. Programs were eliminated and class sizes were increased. So it was a huge penalty if you did this. Now, most Americans were unaware that these FUBO schools existed until earlier this year, when the LAUSD initiated another race-based action. 9 schools were robbed of their FUBO status because they dare creep above the 30% white kids quota. Walter Reed Middle School in North Hollywood was one of those schools. They had 1,665 students, 47% Hispanic, and they discovered that they had increased its white population to 38% in raw numbers. There were roughly 50 kids too many. So goodbye money, goodbye supplies and teachers, and hello increased class sizes. Now I want you to think about this. They're penalizing you because you get too many white kids. It doesn't matter that the kid, that's the demographic of the area. They're saying, nope, you're going to have more Hispanic and black kids, and that's where they're going to give you the smaller class sizes. So it's their attempt to balance things out. White kids are going to have bigger classes, less time with the teacher, etc., these other kids will end up getting theoretically smarter. That's the logic in all of this. All right. Now, needless to say, the presidents of the staff of Walter Reed believe they were not FUBO'd, but totally FUBAR, because this is one jacked up situation. So let me go move on here. So North Hollywood sits in California's 29th congressional district, and it's solidly Democrat. Hispanics outnumber whites in terms of the district's population, but whites are still the largest voting bloc, and registered Democrats greatly outnumber Republicans. So how did good liberal folks who had a stake in Walter Reed Middle School respond to the prospect of losing FUBAR money or FUBAL money? They got mad. The white parents blame the Mexicans for pretending to be white. No joke. They were like, you're pretending to be white. White parents scolded Mexican parents for listing their kids as white when enrolling them. As reported by the LA School District, a nonpartisan website devoted to covering LA school issues, Walter Reed's principal, Jean Gamba, first suspected something could be wrong with the reported race mix at her school when she was holding a parent-teacher conference with a mother who had a Latino surname. The mother had a Spanish translator provided by the district, yet the mother was identified as white. Now, if you don't understand the irony, because if you do, you're probably laughing right now, that all of this is going on in California. All right? So, as reported by the LA School Report, several Jewish parents who identify as white criticize Mexican parents for doing the same. Oy gewalt, only we get to be the racial chameleons. Know your place, you sugar. So, the Mexican parents fought back, blaming, wait for it, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Now, you may be thinking, Kevin, you haven't mentioned Donald Trump. This is something that's been going on since 1984. Donald Trump has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with it. And I would go, you're exactly right. And that's why they blame Donald Trump. Race shifting Mexicans. They argued, and here it is. Here comes the punchline. Mexican families have no choice but to identify as white in order to escape Donald Trump's upcoming Nazi-style racist roundup of immigrants. Now, the insanity of this claim is breathtaking. If Mexican parents are right, if Trump Nazis ever come to Walter Reed Middle School to round up students who might be illegal, will they ignore obviously Latino students just because their parents checked the white box on the enrollment form? My kid's name is Jose Cienfuegos Flaco Rodriguez. His skin's brown. He only speaks Spanish. Round him up. Wait, hold on. Let's get him. His mom checked the white box. This is ridiculous. You know, look, do I need to tell you that, you know, this is wrong on so many levels. Trump is going after, first of all the bad guys. And if you think you're going to get away just because you check white on a box, it's ridiculous. When it's time to deal with immigration, we should deal with it openly and honestly. But this is what these people blame. And let me tell you, the Walter Reed parents were swayed by the argument. And according to Erica Fox, a self-described white Jewish mom, in the era of Donald Trump and the fear that he has caused, I know there are families afraid of the anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim rhetoric. I worry that the data will not be accurate during his administration. So, having agreed to blame Trump instead of, you know, the leftist racial quotas, the comedy quickly skyrocketed to Benny Hill level absurdity, to Spike Milligan style surrealism, and a bunch of white parents decided to strategically falsify the racial descriptions of their children in order to solve the 50 white kids over the limit problem. He says, I know I can find, this is what they were saying, I know I can find some minority designation in my family heritage. I'll be changing my status as soon as I can, said Alexis Prescott in tears while speaking at a meeting. And they explained that the school could lose 5 teachers and a counselor, increase sizes from 34 to 39. People don't realize how this can affect schools, and we have to let people know this. This is our worst nightmare, and it's all because of Donald Trump. No, it's not because of the racial quotas that the LA Unified School District imposed for no other reason than to say we're going to limit the population of white kids in a school. And why would you do that anyway? Why? It's amazing. So Reed's parent coordinator says she already knows of more than a dozen parents who have purposely misidentified. Now, they're lying on a form, which I don't care. I check American. I tell you guys all the time, don't waste your time checking that box with a real ethnicity. Just check, write in other and put American and leave it at that. This is, folks, the kind of nonsense that the left creates, and then they want to blame us. In this case, they want to blame Donald Trump for their lunacy.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.